Thanks for being here. Subscribe to Cheating Stories Best, so you don't miss new stories.
Boss or lover? Today's story with a similar plot. Enjoy it! Come to think of it, life has been pretty good for me at 50 with 2 lovely girls off to university and my wife, Jade, and I ready to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. Everything was going well. We own most of a very nice house in an upscale suburb and drove nearly new cars. My job as a regional sales manager for a national company was in full swing. Jade, who had only returned to work 5 years ago, was also in a good position. She took a job with Greg, a friend of ours, as his assistant but soon found her place on their advertising team. 3 years later, Greg made us an offer. He wanted to grow the business but needed capital. He offered us a share in the business, and Jade would take a leadership position on their sales and business development team. To say she took to it like a duck takes to water would be an understatement. 2 years later, she was earning more than me. So, what did I have to complain about? Probably because Jade and I were so busy that we hardly saw each other. In many ways, we lived different lives, like ships passing in the night. Don't get me wrong, our marriage was strong, loving, and caring. I just wished I could see her more often. This had to change, and we had no control over it. The world was struck by a virus so powerful that the only option was to lock down entire countries with draconian controls that some likened to martial law. This was a full-blown pandemic, and the actions reflected the danger to humanity. Country and state borders were closed. Schools, churches, universities, and public forums were closed. Virtually all non-essential businesses were closed, and employees were ordered to stay home. Those who could work from home were forced to do so, and only those workers assessed as essential were allowed to work. All shops, with the exception of supermarkets, were closed to support these efforts. Police took to the streets in large numbers to enforce the new laws, and so we were locked up, imprisoned in our own home with no one but ourselves to talk to. For me, this was the chance we had been looking for so long. It was actually a blessing in disguise. Working from home was like a vacation. Jade, unlike me, was worried that the business was so new that they didn't have the same cash reserves as the big players. We set up separate offices so as not to disturb each other. We brightened up the day with some fun banter about who made coffee or lunch, and it was something of a rebirth of our happy marriage. The first couple of weeks, everything was like a honeymoon. We cooked together, shared cleaning and household chores, and we slept on weekends and rode bikes. I had been a fanatical cyclist all my life, and now Jade saw this as her only chance to get out of the house. At that time, people were only allowed to go outside if they were engaged in some kind of sport, and at the same time, they had to maintain a social distance of at least 2 meters. Cycling seemed like the perfect solution. It became our daily break from work and an escape from household chores. During this period, Jade really became interested in this activity and began to look forward to it as much as I did. Taking a break from our normal routine gave us the opportunity to try out activities that we would otherwise miss due to travel and long work hours. As a treat, I took an online massage course, and Jade was the proud recipient of my nightly massages. This, in turn, led to the most amazing intim of our lives, as if a magic switch had been flipped and we were transported back to our early years together. We made love every day, often twice a day. Oh God, it was incredible. Jade, even at 48 years old, remained very attractive and hot. She decided to fill the time by taking an online aromatherapy course, which resulted in delivery vans arriving daily and the house smelling wonderful. The combination of aromatherapy and massage gave amazing results. As good as life was, in the 3rd week, things started to slow down. It became difficult to maintain that level of excitement and interest. We started to get irritable, the fever set in, and we needed a pick-me-up to try and bring back the magic. I cooked a nice dinner. Jade seemed impressed with my cooking skills, but as soon as she was done, she thanked me for the food and went straight back to work, leaving me sitting alone. The band was starting to take its toll on their business. I'm no fool, and I knew it. But opportunities like this don't come around often. A chance to start over our marriage, and I felt it was slipping away. She spent too much time on the computer or phone chasing clients and customers. I needed to get her away from that computer. I took a hot bubble bath, filled the bathroom with scented candles, chose smooth and sugary jazz, and dimmed the lights. When I walked into her office, she was typing away like crazy. She raised her head with a strange expression as I extended my hand to her. She stared back at me. "Mark, what are you doing?" I lifted her from the chair, and she stood up reluctantly. "Mark, darling, I need to work." He put his finger to his lips and led her to the bathroom. She make a sound the whole way. "Mark, please, honey, I have work. This is important." As soon as she saw the bath and the candles, she smiled widely. "Oh, you are a monster, this looks incredible. But, darling, I have work, my love. I'm sure your clients will still come tomorrow, so today relax, enjoy the champagne, and massage that magnificent body." I helped her undress and held her hand while she climbed into the jacuzzi. As she leaned back in the bath, I passed her a glass of champagne. She took a deep breath. "Thank you, honey. I can't believe how caring you are. I'm spoiled." I giggled. "Don't worry, my love. I'll demand a refund later, and maybe I'll get it out of your body." "Oh God, I hope that's a promise," she whispered. I left her lying there, covered in water, with her head thrown back, eyes closed, listening to music, and enjoying the relaxing water. I walked into the break room, and as I passed her office, I heard her phone buzzing. Damn it, it would probably distract her if she heard it. I ran inside and was about to turn it off, but when I saw that it was a message from Greg, I decided to open it in case it was important. When I opened the message, I was stunned. There was a message there. "I can't wait to have you in my bed again." Jesus Christ, what the hell was that? A joke? I started scrolling down, a stream of messages. "Greg, you're so hot. It's not fair. I'm so sorry we can't see each other more often." When I scrolled down the page, there were literally hundreds of posts, and even a few photos and videos. In one of them, Jade gave him pleasure. A few photos of his assets and a few photos of Jade without any clothes on. Lord, this was a long-standing affair. It was not a joke or a prank. It really happened. As I sat stunned, my heart pounding, Jade called, "Darling, my glass is empty." I brought her another glass, and looking at her beautiful smiling face, I didn't know what to say. She sighed, smiling blissfully. "Thank you, honey." "Don't worry, darling," I returned to her office, lost. The pain was so deep. How could she do this after everything we went through, raising children, building a life? 25 years we stood side by side, depressed and filled with wild anger. I went outside into the cold night air, trying to calm the rising tide. The anger did not subside. I wanted to hurt her. I wanted her to feel my pain, humiliation, burning shame. It was crazy and irrational, but I came up with a plan. I searched her phone, retrieving videos and as soon as I can. I pushed her roughly as she screamed, Mark, talk to me. What's going on? It will become obvious. Just leave me alone. I recommend that you find a lawyer as soon as possible." She called out to me as I walked away, leaving her staring at me with her mouth open. I locked myself in and waited for the essence of what was happening to reach her. It didn't take long, and there was a violent knock on the door. Jade was crying and screaming hysterically. "Mark, you evil freak. My God, why didn't you talk to me? Damn it, you ruined everything. Say something, you." Jade's voice fell into silence, then crying, mad, agonized sobs. "Mark, forgive me. I didn't mean to hurt you." When I didn't answer, she growled, "Oh my God, it was just a night." How she could feel and sound offended by her actions boggles the mind. I hope it was good, because it ended our life together, everything we worked for. "Why, Jade? Tell me why?" Her sobs began again, drowning out her words as she stammered, "Mark, it was just intim. It doesn't matter. It was wrong, I know, but it was harmless. If you just talk to me, we can get over it." My harmless fifth place, this went on for months. Looking at these messages, "Mark, please open the door so we can talk properly. Let me explain everything." let's talk about this. No, Jade, there's no more chance to talk now. You just need to clean up the mess. Yeah, you definitely created it, she coked. Jesus, Mark, you probably ruined Greg's marriage too. I didn't do anything. It was you who created this crap, where you cared about his family while you were having fun with him. Don't cry to me about his marriage. Mark, if you would just talk to me, we could try to make things right, find a way to overcome this. But now Jesus knows everything. God knows what the girls will say, or mom and dad for that matter. Damn, I never thought you could be so mean, so angry, evil, oh my God. Jade, you started a 6-month affair with our friend, and you're telling me that I'm evil? For God's sake, woman, you're ridiculous. Mark, dear, no one needed to know. We could have fixed everything ourselves. It's not the end of the world, damn it. This is the end for me. Mark, open the door, honey, please let me fix this. Leave me alone, Jade. I just want a good night's sleep and to clear my head. It took half an hour of knocking on the door for her to realize I wasn't answering. Finally, she returned to the house, leaving me in my anger to simmer. I plugged in my laptop and sorted her messages into a file that I could send to the lawyer in the morning. I filed for divorce. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to fight my conscience. Our marriage was over. While I was collecting all the evidence, my phone was constantly buzzing as I had set it to vibrate mode. I was not ready to meet anyone face to face. I guessed that these were our daughters or parents. I wanted a chance to calm down before talking to them. It was a long night. I tossed and turned, drifting in and out of sleep. I woke up around 9 o'clock and wandered into the house to shower and have breakfast. Jade was making coffee when I walked in the back door. She turned and quickly looked at me. Good morning, Mark. Would you like some? She looked terrible, her eyes bloodshot red and droopy. No thanks, I'll do mine when you're done. I'm going to take a shower. As you wish, so be it. I locked myself in the bathroom, showering and trying to strengthen myself for what was to come. When I walked into the kitchen, Jade handed me her phone. I didn't want to take it, but in the end, whoever it is, I will have to meet him today, one way or another. Hey, Mark, it's Greg. I just want to say that I'm sorry about what happened. It's not Jade's fault, it should be my fault. I interrupted him mid-sentence. Forget it, Greg. It's over. You and I will meet as soon as this story with the virus is over, and we will end it as men. I hung up without giving him a chance to say anything else. Jade stood and looked at me. Mark, he was just trying to apologize, ask for forgiveness. Nonsense, he can stick his apologies where the sun doesn't shine. Next time I talk to him, he better be prepared. I walked past her and noticed that she had made me coffee. I poured it out and made a new one. She looked at me angrily. I did it for you. Yes, there was probably rat poison in it, Jade. I don't want to see you or talk to you. I'm going to call my lawyer as soon as I make coffee, and I suggest you do the same. She tried to take my hand and turn me back. Mark, please, honey, if we could just sit down and talk it through calmly, we could fix everything. We've been through so much, it's just a bump in the road. If you let me explain everything, I'm sure we can work it out. Okay, then, Jade, tell me why. She leaned back against the sink. I don't know, honey. It was probably the big number 50 that was rushing towards me. And lately, I've been feeling unattractive. For a woman, this is completely different. All my life, men have noticed me. I'm not blind, and I know that I'm attractive, but with age, the glances have stopped. I started to feel invisible. Young guys stopped noticing me, and I felt old. Old, and Greg flirted with me, flattered me, made me feel desired. One day, I told him how I felt, and he kissed me, and I let my guard down. But honestly, it was just intim. How shallow are you, Jade? All this because you felt your age? We all get old. You should have talked to me, you should have let me help, let me make you better. Oh yeah, you feel better. Hell, Mark, you look better now than when we were younger. We go out somewhere, and I see beautiful young girls staring at you. You look better, and I look old next to you. Oh my gosh, we were supposed to grow old together. That's what life is all about. I wanted to grow old with you, spend the rest of my life with you. Damn it, I love you. Sobbing, she mumbled through her snot, we still can, Mark. I love you, I always have, and that hasn't changed. Shaking my head, I groaned, call your lawyer, Jade, you'll need all the help you can get. After pouring coffee, I entered the room and plopped down on the small sofa. God, what a terrible mess. All I wanted was to escape, but I was locked up, imprisoned with this craziness. While I was sipping my coffee, I received another call. It was Melissa, Greg's wife. Hi Mark, she was clearly crying. Sorry, I don't know what to say, but thank you for reporting this. It's okay, Melissa. I needed it for my own peace of mind. What are you going to do? She sighed. I don't know, God, everything is so confusing. I want to kill him, divorce him, cut off his damn dignity, but it's not so easy for us. Our children are so small, everything we have is connected to the business. We are mortgaged up to our eyebrows. If I leave now, I will return home to my parents, and this will be hell. You have to do what you think is right. What about you? What will you do? She asked. I'll call my lawyer as soon as I hang up and file for divorce. Damn, I'm so sorry, Mark. Is there really no way to make this all work out? No, as far as I understand, it's all over. We talked for a while longer before hanging up. Arthur, my attorney, was shocked when I told him this story. He was involved in every major decision in our lives, especially refinancing and investing in Greg's business. He asked me what I wanted to do, and I told him that I wanted to file for divorce. I offered to send him proof, but he laughed. It doesn't matter. Maybe she's wrong, and adultery is grounds for divorce, but that won't help you. You can't get away from the marital act. She will get half of everything, even if she is wrong. Accepting his news, I mumbled, just send me the papers, and I'll fill them out. But I'm definitely filing for adultery. I want everyone to know. Buddy, the only advice I can give is not to stress. Buddy, you're angry now. I'll send the papers, but please think a little. The decisions you make now, you'll have to carry out for the rest of your life. Later, the papers arrived, and I was filling them out when the phone rang. I checked the name. It was my eldest daughter, Katie. Dad, what the hell is going on? I just talked to Mom, and she's hysterical. I can't understand a word she said. Is it all true, letters and messages? Are they true, or some kind of stupid prank? She didn't believe it at all. It was her mother, her beautiful, caring, loving mother, with whom she was so close. I heard the disbelief in her voice. Taking a deep breath, I growled, yes, it's true. I only found out about it yesterday, at the same time as everyone else. Damn it, who sent this out? This came from Mom's email. Feeling a little guilty, I mumbled. It doesn't matter who sent it, all that matters is what we found out. And what are you going to do? Of course, filing for divorce. What do you think I'm going to do? A sharp breath preceded her frantic scream. Dad, no, please no. Then there was silence, after which she added, divorce, damn it, is too much, isn't it? Of course, you can try to get over it or something. We're talking about Mom, Dad. It's just a mistake, it's meant to be. You've been together forever, and she loves you, you know it. I used to know this. I would have bet my life on it, but now all I can do is try to stop myself from killing her. That's not what you meant, Dad. It's just anger. Calm down and take a breath. Of course, divorce is not the answer. Maybe you can try seeing a psychologist or something else. Sorry, honey, but I've decided everything. I want to leave. She humiliated me enough. The conversation dragged on. She tried to make me change my mind, and we repeated the same words over and over again. She finally hung up, just as confused and upset as I was. Julie, my second daughter, kept up with Katie, and again, the afternoon was wasted while she tried to get me to change my mind. Unfortunately, she didn't believe it was true and tried to convince me that it was just some weird hacker or something. Even her convincing arguments could not convince me. I filled out the paperwork and returned it to Arthur, signed and completed. When I called him, he gave me another piece of advice. Divide your finances now, before everything turns into a scandal. It made sense, and I started going through our finances and belongings. We only had one bank account, and it was a joint account, and everything came out of it, credit cards, mortgage, everything. It was impossible to open another account over the phone, you had to go there in person. Everything was connected. The only good news was that she couldn't do anything either, so the money was safe for now. Of course, the rest of the day went on like this. I answered calls from friends and family, everyone wanted to know what was going on. By the end of the day, I was tired of explaining. Jade's parents were the worst, they couldn't or wouldn't believe it and seemed convinced that it was some evil plot hatched by me to discredit their daughter. During dinner, I walked into the house and was rummaging through the cupboards for something to eat when Jade walked in. Can we talk some more, Mark, please? We need to talk about this. Katie and Julie are devastated. Damn it, you scared them half to death with all this wild talk. These are not wild conversations. I was honest with them. I told you, Jade, I've already talked to Arthur and submitted the documents. We are currently in the process of divorce. Jesus Christ, Mark, that's just funny. Honey, it was just a night. I had no affair or plans to run away with him. It was stupid and selfish, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world. My God, you're feeling crazy? No, I was crazy when I didn't see this happening right under my nose. Damn, I must be a damn idiot. You both must have laughed heartily. God, all those family get-togethers, you must have had a good laugh with him. No, honey, it wasn't like that. We never laughed or even talked about it. You had intimate for 6 months. Don't tell me you never laughed at how to sneak out or get out. 6 damn months, Jade. 6 months. Her face dropped. We never laughed at you or Melissa. Say what you want, but I feel like a fool. All this time, I loved you, brought you flowers for your birthday, and he gave you a quickie. God, how many times did we make love after you were with him? Never, she screamed. I would never do that to you. I love you. Sorry, I didn't think about it. I didn't want to hurt you. It just all started with innocent flirting and fun. Please, Mark, can we just sit down and talk? No, damn it, everything is over. You'll receive the papers in a week or so. Just sign them and send them back. Hell, I'll do it. There won't be any divorce. You're being stupid. We can fix everything. I didn't answer, and she burst into tears. Mark, you've already ruined me, my career, and Greg's business. How much more revenge do you want? It's not about revenge, it's about ending it and moving on. I took the chips and left her there looking after me. The next day, I was woken up by Jade knocking on the door. I opened it to see what she wanted, but she insistently rushed inside. Mark, Greg, Melissa, and I spoke last night, and we have a plan to try to save the business. We're going to say that a disgruntled employee we fired hacked into my email account and set up this whole thing in retaliation for being fired. Say what you want, I don't care, Mark, we need your help. If we want to make people believe this, we need your help. Could you support us? I laughed. The hell with it. If anyone asks, I will tell the truth. People should know what kind of deceitful manipulators they are dealing with. My rage shocked her. Melissa agreed, she's going to support us. Mark, I beg you, Greg and Melissa are going to lose everything, his reputation is in tatters. It's his fault, not mine. She stamped her foot, but this is exactly what we will say. We will tell everyone, including the children and mom and dad, as you wish, but I won't help. For the next week, every time I went inside, she was on the phone with clients, distributing information to those who received the letter. I left them alone, but Melissa called me and begged me to help. They were desperate to revive the business and save Greg's reputation. Melissa seemed to forgive him and openly begged me to reconsider my position. I was so sick of it all, and I wanted it all to end, but there was no escaping the daily drama, no escaping the hellhole our home had become. Katie called several times and became increasingly upset with me. Her mother even convinced her that it was a strange plot to discredit her mother. She convinced me that I should accept everything as it is, forgive and forget. Of course, all I had to do was send her the video clip, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Instead, I went the other way and took care of her mother. She was in her office working harder than ever with new clients. I pulled up a chair next to her desk, sat down, and folded my hands. Jade, you need to tell Katie and Julie the truth. They drive me crazy with this hacker. She recoiled. What? Why not let sleeping dogs lie? Because they won't leave me alone. Every day they lecture me on the phone about why I'm tormenting you with a divorce. They think I'm a bad guy. She leaned forward across the table, leaning on her elbows, and stared straight at me. Mark, if you let me, I will compensate you for everything. Give me a chance to fix everything, forgive me, and let's start over. We have managed to get all customers back on board, and it looks like we are almost back to normal. Jade, if you don't tell the girls the truth, I'll be forced to send them the last piece of evidence I have. Mark, please, why don't we just leave it so no one loses? I lost. At this point, the girls treat me like the bad guy because I don't buy your. Either you tell them or I will. No, this is not fair. I don't want to get a divorce, and the girls and I are just sorting things out. I won't spoil them. In any case, you can't say anything that would make them believe it. I took the flash drive out of my pocket and waved it in front of her nose. On this flash drive, there is a video of you pleasuring Greg. I think this might convince them. She almost fainted. Oh God, you can't. I nodded. Either you tell them or I'll just send this to everyone you know, including our parents and children. Lord, Mark, you are such an. Why do we have to get a divorce? It's over between me and Greg. Give us a chance, and I promise that I will spend the rest of our lives together to make things right. You can't fix anything, Jade. Even if I could forgive you, I could never trust you again. I would always be looking over my shoulder, wondering who you were cheating on me with. Jesus, girl, I mean Greg might not be the only one. There could be hundreds of them, she growled furiously. Get out now. I stood up and went to the door. Growling, I added, either you tell them, or I will. It took a few days, but my daughter called me to apologize for being so hard on me. She talked to her mother, who told her to be gentle with me and that we would figure it out ourselves. Obviously, she didn't tell her the truth, but at least Katie was a little more understanding now. When I called and spoke with the realtor about selling the house, Jade exploded when I told her about this. She became hysterical. Lord, Mark, we can't sell the house. What will everyone think? We spent many hours on the phone explaining and convincing everyone that we were okay, and now you want to sell the house? Lord, be reasonable. I was a little shocked by her indifferent attitude. Listen, Jade, we'll both need somewhere to live. I know you can't afford to buy out my share of the house, so you can't stay here. I don't want to stay here, I only have bad memories now. I think the best thing to do is sell the house, and then we can go our separate ways. She grabbed my hand, squeezing it tightly between hers, and looked into my eyes. Or we can stay and try to get out, Mark. I love you as much now as I did when we got married. I don't want a divorce. Can't we work things out? For someone who says he loves me, you have a strange way of showing it. Affairs don't show love, I replied, squeezing my hand tighter. With tears rolling down her cheeks, she wheezed, I made a mistake. It was stupid, it was selfish, but that doesn't mean I don't love you. We've made a lot of mistakes over the years, both of us, Mark. We can get over it. Jade, you just don't understand. You lied to me for months, and would continue to lie. You say it's over between you and him, but if I hadn't found those messages, things would still be going on, wouldn't they? She gently stroked my hand. Mark, please, just tell me. Would this still be going on? When this all blows over, you'll be together again? She sighed, staring at the floor, and the silence became longer and longer until I broke it with a growl. Well, that would be exactly like that, wouldn't it? She whispered hoarsely. I don't know. I guess so, but everything has changed. We have become much closer since the lockdown. You have been so loving and caring. Everything has changed, she begged. It's over now, and if you give me a chance, we can put this in the past and forget it ever happened, I said firmly. God, Jade, you don't even feel remorse. You just expect me to humble myself and say, oh well, never mind. Let me tell you something, life is not like that. I pulled my hand back. We are selling the house. It will be put up for sale tomorrow. I left, leaving her completely depressed. It was a bad time to sell. Real estate agents couldn't visit the house. They couldn't bring in leads. It had to be done online and relied on photos. I spent the day taking photos that I thought highlighted the best features of the house, sent them to the agent, and the next day, the house was listed for sale. This caused a flurry of calls from friends and, of course, relatives who wanted to know what was going on. Jade answered all the calls, trying to hide the truth. She told everyone some ridiculous stories about us looking for a better place. As the country brought the virus under control and restrictions were gradually lifted, we had a little more freedom. Everything was supposed to gradually return to a more normal way of life, but that was still a month away at least. During this month, everything calmed down between me and Jade. We had dinner together. We managed to talk without arguing or shouting. The anger gradually subsided. One day at dinner, she asked, "What can I do to change your mind?" "I'll do anything." Looking across the table, I sighed. "I don't think anything will help. I've lost trust in you. But if we tried to improve our relationship, the first thing you would do is quit your job." "What?" she choked. "I can't do this. I have shares in the company now. We own 35% of the business. God, Mark, I love this work. I love being part of its creation. Honey, I promise, it's over between me and Greg. It's over. You made this promise to me 25 years ago on our wedding day. Then it obviously meant nothing. Why should I trust you now?" She leaned back in her chair. "Mark, I made a mistake, I know that. But I promise, what else can I do? Quit your job. I think it's simple. If you want to try again, then that's what I demand. And even then, I don't make any promises. I don't understand. What's the difference, Mark? I love this job, I put everything into it. Why can't we just try to move on? Because you will work together every day, travel together. I cannot allow this. If you want to make peace, this is the first building block. No, Mark, it's not fair. I'll do whatever I want, but I won't quit my job," she said adamantly. "That's great, Jade, but it definitely shows where I stand, doesn't it?" This little exchange led to a long discussion and argument between my daughters, who tried to play the role of mediators, but they were on my side. They both tried to convince her to take my side, but she was adamant. I don't know if she was just stubborn, if she thought she could have her cake and eat it too, or if she was just stupid. Later, when we were watching the late news, she nervously snuggled up to me as we watched TV. "Mark, will you sleep with me tonight? I need you to come back to our bed." Pulling her head closer and kissing her forehead, I said, "I do not think it's a good idea. This will only confuse everything. Mark, dear, this could be the first step towards reconciliation." "I don't want reconciliation, I want to move on with my life." She burst into tears and ran into the bedroom, and I heard her crying. Turning off the TV, I went to bed. The papers came back from the lawyers and were unsigned. Jade refused to sign, she wanted to fight. It took several days of constant arguing and my threats to send a video of her blowing Greg to get her to sign the documents. The realization of the inevitable finally came, and she came to terms with it. When restrictions were lifted, the house sold in just a couple of weeks. I found a small apartment in the city, as did Jade, and she found an apartment closer to her office. Our daughters went through a period of hating and blaming me. Julie was the worst. She believed her mother and blamed me for not supporting her. It took some time before we were able to talk. "Julie, have you ever seen me act without knowing the whole story? Look back at your life and tell me one time when I reacted to you too quickly or too harshly. She thought for a moment before answering. Never, Dad. You've always been so fair to us. That's why this seems so wrong. You know what hurts, Julie? It's that you never thought about the fact that I know the truth, and my actions are not an overreaction but a logical result, she sighed, looking at me. So you're saying that Mom really cheated? I nodded slowly. I don't believe it, Dad. She would never do that. She loves you. Could you go to a consultation or something? What would you do if you found out that your boyfriend cheated on you, Julie? Would you give him a second chance? I saw reality dawn on her. We parted on better terms. Living apart made divorce easier. We split everything 50-50. Although at first, everything went well for Jade, difficulties arose with Melissa. She was trying to come to terms with the fact that Jade and Greg were still working together, but she was struggling, as was I. How could she trust them? We no longer kept in touch, and she blamed me for some of their difficulties. Melissa thought that if I forgave Jade and stayed with her, then the problem she had with Greg would somehow be resolved. Greg was Jade's closest friend, but due to Melissa's constant nagging, a chasm formed between them, and he was forced to retreat, which caused Jade pain. She spent most nights crying on the phone with our daughters, which in turn prompted them to call me, begging me to forgive and forget. The moment the restrictions were lifted, I took my chance. I made a promise to him, and it was time to act. I waited in the parking lot of their business. The day of reckoning had arrived. As soon as he walked out into the parking lot and saw me, he stopped in his tracks. Mark, I'm sorry. I was a fool, and I apologized for this storm. I took off my jacket and put it on the hood of my car. Greg, I promised you that I would come for you. Now I'm here. Let's do it like men. He quickly stepped back. Buddy, I don't want to fight with you. It won't solve anything. You are not my friend. You gave up that privilege when you had intimate with my wife and lied to my face. He realized when I approached him that this was happening. He dropped his briefcase and began to take off his jacket. As soon as he threw his jacket aside, I was on top of him. We were about the same height and we couldn't be called fighters, but there was anger on my side, a cold, dirty feeling in my stomach that needed to be released. When I hit him, the pain subsided a little and my stomach relaxed. Not all the blows were one-sided, he also threw several blows. But driven by anger, I continued. The only thing that stopped me was the policeman pulling me away from him. When I looked back, there was a small group gathered there, and among them was Jade, who was covering her mouth with her hands. She looked terrified. The cops separated us, and Greg and I stood there, glaring at each other. He had blood running down his face, he had a broken nose and a split lip. He wasn't an oil painting, but then again, neither was I. Jade approached, but as she approached, the policeman raised his hand. Please step aside, lady. Let me handle this. She stood there, not moving, her eyes fixed on me, pleading, questioning. The policeman interrupted the moment by pushing us back towards the car and began his questioning. To his credit, Mark didn't try to blame me or press any charges. He simply told the officer that we had an argument and nothing else happened. The policeman was not convinced, but what could he say? He decided to make us shake hands. When we shook hands, Greg held on longer than necessary. Sorry, buddy. I didn't plan anything like that, it was just an error in judgment. He threw my hand away when I refused to accept his apology, and I turned and walked to my car. Jade ran after me. Mark, I'm sorry. I kick myself every day for screwing up, but can't we at least try? 25 years, Mark. 25 years must be worth something. Sorry, Jade, but I can't. I also kick myself every day. Why didn't I see this? You started an affair right under my nose, and I didn't even know. There's no way we can live together because I will always wonder where you are, who you are with. I left feeling lighter, stronger, and much better. Violence may not solve anything, but sometimes it cannot be avoided. When restrictions were lifted and the world returned to normal, the media was full of good news about how we had survived the virus. Millions are unemployed, businesses are closed and will never open again, food banks are overwhelmed, and poverty is at its highest level since the Great Depression. Yes, some things couldn't survive. What do you think of our story today? I think the story is instructive and tells about a common situation that can happen to anyone, so I found the story instructive. What's your opinion? Write in the comments. See you in the next video.